Inspired Moon Presents. Nurses That Kill, Serial Killers in White. Chapter 42. Amelia Dyer. Amelia Dyer. Amelia Dyer's story is a chilling tale of exploitation, deception, and the dark side of Victorian society. Born Amelia Elizabeth Hobley in 1837, she grew up in a time when illegitimate pregnancies were heavily stigmatized, and options for unmarried mothers were limited. This societal pressure created a demand for baby farmers, like Dyer, who offered to care for infants born out of wedlock for a fee. Dyer would place ads citing married couple with no family would like to adopt healthy child. Nice country home, £10, or small premium. Dyer's criminal activities likely began in the 1860s, although the exact number of her victims is unknown. It's estimated that she may have murdered over 200 infants over the course of her gruesome career. Her modus operandi involved taking in babies from desperate mothers, promising them a better life, only to subject them to neglect and abuse. Laudanum, a popular Victorian-era medicine known as a mother's friend, was readily available and often used to calm fussy babies. Dyer exploited this by administering lethal doses of laudanum to infants in her care, causing their deaths. She is also known to have strangled infants with packing tape. She would then dispose of the bodies in various ways, including dumping them in the Thames River or burying them in her garden. Dyer's crimes went undetected for years due to the transient nature of her operations and the lack of oversight in childcare at the time. However, suspicions began to arise as more and more infants in her care went missing or were found dead under suspicious circumstances. The turning point came in 1896 when the body of a baby girl was discovered on the banks of the Thames River. The child was traced back to Dyer by some packaging which had a former address written on it which she had used to line the box, leading to her arrest and subsequent trial. During the investigation, authorities uncovered evidence linking Dyer to numerous other infant deaths. At her trial, Dyer pleaded guilty to the murder of one infant but showed no remorse for her actions. She was swiftly convicted and sentenced to death. Before her execution, she is said to have confessed to many more murders. On June 10, 1896, she was executed by hanging at Newgate Prison in London. Amelia Dyer's life before her descent into infamy offers some insights into the factors that may have contributed to her criminal behavior. Born into a working-class family in Pile Marsh, Bristol, England, she experienced poverty and hardship from an early age. Her father was a shoemaker, and her mother struggled with mental illness. These circumstances likely shaped Dyer's worldview and may have influenced her later actions. Dyer's first marriage, to George Thomas, ended in tragedy when he died of tuberculosis, leaving her a widow with a young daughter to support. Desperate for financial stability, she turned to baby farming as a means of income. This decision marked the beginning of her criminal career, as she saw an opportunity to exploit the vulnerability of unmarried mothers and profit from their desperation. The Victorian era was a time of strict social mores and rigid gender roles, which placed significant pressure on women to conform to traditional ideals of femininity and motherhood. However, Dyer's actions defied these norms, revealing a darker side of maternal instinct and female caregiving. Dyer's descent into murder and infanticide likely involved a combination of psychological, social, and economic factors. Her willingness to exploit the most vulnerable members of society for personal gain speaks to a profound lack of empathy and moral conscience. It's possible that she viewed the infants in her care as commodities rather than human beings deserving of love and protection. The sensational nature of Dyer's crimes captured the public imagination and sparked widespread outrage and condemnation. The sheer scale of her atrocities and the calculated nature of her deception shocked Victorian society to its core, prompting calls for reform and stricter regulation of adoption and childcare practices. It inspiring Parliament to pass new laws like the Infant Life Protection Act of 1897 and the Children's Act of 1908 to end baby farming and strengthen regulations around adoption and fostering. The case also served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked greed and the consequences of turning a blind eye to the suffering of others. Amelia Dyer's legacy continues to fascinate and horrify to this day, serving as a stark reminder of the capacity for evil that resides within the human psyche and the importance of vigilance in safeguarding the most vulnerable members of society. The case of Amelia Dyer shocked Victorian society and prompted widespread outrage and calls for reform in adoption and childcare laws. Her crimes highlighted the vulnerabilities of illegitimate children and the dangers of unregulated baby farming. Dyer's legacy serves as a grim reminder of the horrors that can occur when greed and cruelty go unchecked.